All right, let's move on to talk to Sam in California.
Hi, Sam.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey, what would you like to talk about today?
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm really nervous for some reason.
No worries. We're good. What's up?
Anyways, so I actually been watching your show for a while now, and let me start off by saying I do believe in God.
Okay.
But as I'm watching your show, I'm starting to question a lot of things, is the best way to put it. But it's still kind of hard to let go. So I was just wondering, like, how you came to believe that there is no God.
You want to go first?
Sure. I actually don't believe that. I know, right? So, a couple things. The first is you said you're having trouble letting go. That's totally understandable. We don't always accept things in our lives for rational reasons. And when you're emotionally attached to something, when you've been raised up in something, and that's part of this, world that you live in, detaching in that way is tough. It's painful. And I totally get it. But the other thing is, I can't actually say there is no God because I don't know every definition. I have not been able to explore it. Nobody's been able to prove to me sufficiently that there is one, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to say that there's zero possibility that somebody could prove that tomorrow. And so if somebody proved that tomorrow, okay, there's the proof. But until then, I'm going to live my life like the same way that I live my life with everything else. If I don't believe there's Bigfoot, I'm going to live my life, thinking there's no Bigfoot. If I haven't been shown aliens or fairies or leprechauns or whatever, I'm not going to live as if they exist. I'm just going to, I'm an Bigfootist as well. And that it doesn't seem that big a deal when you're talking about Bigfoot, but because our culture is legislating religion and because people separate their families because of religion, it becomes a big deal. And that's why saying you're an atheist holds so much more weight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Does that help? I mean, and
a little bit.
I can give you another example, and I've said it on the show a whole bunch of times, but what if somebody said to you, God is like the universe, man? Like, we're just the universe understanding itself. Therefore, we're part of that God. I say, okay, well, does it have any qualities? Is it thinking? No, it's just the universe. Okay, well, obviously the universe exists. So, okay, your definition of God exists. I think it's silly, and I think it's a word game, but kind of there it is.
Which God do you believe in?
I'm a Christian.
Okay.
Or Baptist.
Okay.
Why?
There's a really long explanation, but the shortest one I can give you, just so we don't take forever, is that's how I grew up. I mean,
that's a lot. That's a good response.
Yeah. I wasn't always Baptist. I mean, I grew up in Africa, so of course I grew up Orthodox, then I changed to Protestant, and then I ended up Baptist. But I pretty much from day one of my life on earth, I've always been Christian.
So it's interesting. You'll change religions, but the God stayed the same, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you know that there are people that believe in different gods, correct?
Yeah.
Like not only different religion, but completely different gods. Do you believe in those?
You like Muslim and Jews? Only two religions, really. It's either Muslim or Christian.
Actually, those are both Abrahamic. They both kind of stem from the same stories. But there are other...
Yeah. There's actually usually pretty much from the people that I've talked to, they're the same God.
Yeah. I mean, so the Abrahamic faiths go back to the Torah, right? And so you get Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. And all three of those kind of share a lot of similar stories and stuff like that. But you also have other religions. You have native indigenous religions that never took anything from Abrahamic faiths. You have...
Zeus.
Yeah. You have ancient Greek and Roman. Yeah, you have the Norse mythology with Thor and Odin, and in the Far East.
Not religion.
I'm sorry?
That's mythology, not religion.
Those were
mythology
religions.
used to be religion.
Yeah, those were religions at the time. Yeah. In fact, I actually am friends with someone who calls himself a heathen, but in a religious sense actually still follows the Thor and Odin and all of that. Yeah. They're out there.
Okay.
He's a nice guy.
Oh, okay, well.
So do you believe in
I don't
any
know,
of those gods?
No.
No? Why not?
I don't know. I find the stories really ridiculous. Like,
What's
especially,
ridiculous
like,
about them?
Okay, there's somebody in the sky that controls thunder. I can explain thunder. I'm actually a science major, so I can tell you why thunder happens or why the ocean recedes and comes, like, the tides. I can explain all that.
Mm-hmm.
So
what about if we can explain evolution?
That's the thing. I actually do believe in evolution, so I'm not going to argue with you there.
So do you agree that the Bible doesn't agree with evolution?
No, you can actually believe in God and believe in evolution. It's just a matter of who started what.
No, I'm not talking. I'm sorry. I'm not. I didn't say you. I said the Bible. The Bible doesn't agree with evolution, correct?
I don't think so, but I've had my pastor explain to me how Genesis is actually God's version of the evolution. We just call it, it's complicated.
Why would God have a different version?
You tell me. I don't actually understand.
I mean, you're the one that believes it. I don't.
Well, her pastor, at least.
Oh, yeah, right.
You know, and can I also throw out there the story that I told at the top of the episode where I said I accidentally locked my car at the airport. That's ridiculous, but the fact that it's ridiculous doesn't make it not true.
Right.
So whether or not something's ridiculous really doesn't have any bearing on whether or not it's true. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, Jenna's you're on the chord. I mean, so what is it that's
So do you understand how to us, people who don't believe in any gods, they both might look ridiculous to us? Does that make sense to you? Does that look, I'm sorry?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean they're not true. We have to investigate it, and upon investigation, it appears not to be true. But
how do you know it's not true? Is my question.
Sure.
So that's the thing is I can't tell you that I know that it's not true. But what I can tell you is that I've looked into it and I really wanted to believe it, you know, because like you, everybody that I had ever known and met believed it. And so I thought, well, they can't all be wrong, right? So I believed it because everybody else did. But then at some point, I decided that I really wanted to know, and I couldn't give a better answer for why I believed it than, well, everybody else does. So I really looked into it, and I tried to listen to the reasons that people do believe and the reasons that people don't. And I found that the reasons that people don't believe it are much more convincing to me and sound much more logical after studying what logic actually is and learning that logic does not equal something that just makes sense. So there's actual... I'm sorry?
Could God be outside of logic? Because, I mean...
Why would we assume that?
How could anything be outside of logic, Sam?
I mean, there are things that we just can't explain, right?
But
there's tons of things that we can't explain, but why would we say that then we can explain them? I stop it. We just can't there are things that we can't explain.
Or have not yet explained.
Right.
And, I mean, there are things in the Bible that we can prove are not true. We can prove them. Mm-hmm. We can absolutely prove them. There are things that happen in the Bible, like miracles, that absolutely, you know, somebody does not rise from the dead after 3 days.
People don't actually walk on water.
Yeah. If you look at the Old Testament, right, you've got the Tower of Babel. Mm-hmm. That didn't happen. You have
the flood.
The flood, right. You can also investigate when you have that many people leaving Egypt in the Exodus through the desert for 40 years. There are actually experts who manage large populations and what it takes to support a large population over that kind of time. There would be mountains of evidence, mountains of things left behind by those people. And yet we haven't been able to find evidence. And we understand that you accept evolution.
Over 6,000 years ago, though.
Hmm?
That was over 6,000 years ago. Exodus happened way back, like maybe
But
the first 1,000 years that the Bible recorded.
But that still doesn't make it true. We've explored it. We've looked. We've investigated. There is no archaeological evidence to support a massive population going through the desert for 40 years along that path in Egypt. It's not there. I mean, a global flood.
Have you ever looked for the evidence yourself? Have you ever looked online and found out what evidence we have for any of these different things that we've named? The flood, the migration, burning bushes, walking on water, all of these
Adam
things.
and Eve.
Have you ever looked into actual explanations or evidence for any of these claims that are in the Bible, but nowhere else?
Yes, and that's where the problem is. It's like I can't find it, but then I'll go to my pastor and I'll ask him. And to summarize his answer would be basically believe because you have faith that God is real, which is like I can't believe something just by having faith, and I need something that I can explain why I believe it. But at the same time, just saying I don't believe is literally going to basically end my life as I know it.
No, it won't. It won't. I'm evidence that your life will not end just for saying you don't believe.
You're still going to be you. You're still going to love the people you love. You're still going to eat the same foods.
In fact, it's pretty freaking invigorating.
Really?
Yeah, it's actually like a weight off of your shoulders when you can finally say honestly to yourself, "Oh my God, I don't believe this shit." Like there's no reason to believe it, and it's like, okay, well, wait. So now if I don't have these priests and pastors and all these people to tell me how to live my life, well, how am I going to live it? Well, the cool thing is you get to decide. You get to make it up as you go. You get to make up the rules. You don't have to have somebody dictating rules to you. Nobody, literally nobody, just you. Isn't that awesome?
And also,
sounds awesome.
I mean, it is.
Well, and also the fact that we're humans, you want to, be happy, and you want the people you care about to be happy. And so even if you're making your own rules, they are pretty much the same. Mm-hmm. In fact, as we look at it, I see these atheist populations, and we're law-abiding, family-loving. We help our community. I mean, it's not that you're walking around murdering people. It's that you're no longer doing good things because you're told you have to.
Exactly.
Because if you're told you have to, you can't really take responsibility for it. You get to say, oh, well, I did it because I was told. Mm-hmm. But if you go out and do something good in the world and you weren't told, you did it to do it, all of a sudden you did something good.
That actually reminds me of something I want to bring up. Eric and I were talking the other day about, you gave me a thought experiment about if you had a superpower, right? Mm-hmm. And if you have this superpower then you can heal anybody.
Just by touching them.
Then do you now have an obligation to the world to heal people, right? And I kind of thought about it and I was like, well, I don't think you do. No matter what ability you have an obligation to yourself first, right? So the fact is that if you have that ability and you decide to go out and help people, I think that's a beautiful thing. But if you have this ability and you decide that you can't for any reason, I think that that's fair and valid. But that just makes it, when you do go out and contribute, that makes it even more beautiful because it's off of your own free will. It's off, if it's off your own volition.
we can argue about free will another time.
But it's a choice that you made.
Well,
it's not that you were being dictated to by superiors.
I'm with you on that. All right.
I'm sorry.
That is such a can of worms.
It's a separate conversation.
I'm sorry. Say again, Sam?
Jen, I wanted to ask you something.
Please.
You said your family was religious. Mm-hmm. Did they disown you?
Some people have.
And you're okay with that?
It hurts. But I mean, I can't do anything about it right now. I can hope that in the future they might get used to it and realize that they maybe miss me. I don't know. It's possible. And hopefully they'll reach out to me. Hopefully they'll change their mind. But I'm not going to sit around holding my breath. If they want to show me that they would rather have Jesus in their life or, this imaginary friend that they've made up over me, fine.
Yeah.
That's your decision. But I'm not going to do that to you.
Right.
And I'm going to be here when you come back, if you come back, and, look at it then.
Okay, follow-up question. Would it be wrong just to pretend because you don't want to lose family?
I don't think that there's a black and white answer to that. I think that it's up to you. It would depend on, are you okay with the possibility of losing these people? Because it is a possibility. But there's also a possibility that you won't. And I came from a very, very religious background, and while most of them don't really talk to me anymore, only a couple of them have actually left me and blocked me. And over time, it's only been a year, less than a year, but over time, slowly people are coming around. So I think that the world is changing. I think that people are growing up and making discoveries and being open-minded, and I think that's all we can do.
Can I interject?
Please.
If somebody's tying their love to you based on how you're behaving in a religion, that's really messed up on their part. You can't own other people. You can't make other people's decisions for them. They get to do that. And ultimately, if they want to make that choice, that's their choice. But saying, giving somebody the excuse, you're saying you'll only love me if I do X, Y, and Z, that's abuse. That's emotional manipulation. You get to make your choice, and it is okay that you make your choice for your reasons. But don't allow people to push you around. You can say, hey, you know what? This conversation with my family is not worth losing them, so I'm just not going to bring it up around them. Totally fine. I know people who still go to church and are atheists because they really want to keep that relationship with their family. None of us are judging. None of us. But there are people who've come in and said, my family was supporting me and they kicked me to the curb and I have nothing now. And if I repent and go back to church, then I might not be homeless. That is abuse. And so I just want to point out that difference that, you can't own other people. It's just not, they get to make their choices and they get to be fucked up.
I'm sorry, what was that?
It is a parent's job to guide the kids, so I wouldn't blame a parent for basically saying you either believe and you follow my guidance or you make your own way, which is probably what
I understand why you wouldn't blame a parent for giving an ultimatum, because to you, and correct me if I'm wrong, but to you it seems like they care enough about you that they want you to do it their way or no way, correct? Like, it seems like they care that much.
Yeah, they don't want you to go to hell.
Right.
Which is what my parents would do, but I don't really think I believe.
Right.
I don't let them down either.
No, I'm talking about disowning. There is no point where it is okay that a parent would withhold their love over a thing. You don't do it.
That's
you don't
the thing, is that I've experienced that. And while I understand, so just to validate them, yes, I understand that to them, they think that they just love me that much, that they can't allow me to go the other way because it's obviously wrong, because it's not their way and they don't know anything about it and it's dangerous, and they just love me enough to give me this huge decision because that's the only way that they can possibly get me to come back to their side. And I get that. But from my side, I love them enough to let them believe the things that they do, even knowing the harm that I see, right? They see harm, I see harm. I love them enough to allow them to do whatever they want to do, and I will love them no matter what. And that's the difference that I see now in our two different shoes. I think I love them more because I'm accepting them either way. and they think that they love me more because they're giving me an ultimatum.
And I would contend that you are the better person. Jen.
Thank you.
I just no. I understand you're doing that, and it's wonderful that you are. And so long as you want to do that, awesome. But if the time ever came that you said, you know what, I'm done here.
Right. Oh, that's absolutely different. Is when you come to that point where you have to set a boundary,
then
you
it's
have to set
understandable.
that boundary.
And please don't think that you have to keep on going past where you're comfortable.
Absolutely. See, that's the thing, is breaking free of religion, I finally was able to see from the outside how abusive my family dynamic was. Not each individual person, but just the way that we treated each other, the way that we parented, the way that we talked to each other. It was harmful and it was abusive, and I was not happy. And so when then I started being rejected by these people simply because I changed my mind, I was shocked. I was like, I thought these people would be on my side. I thought these people would reach out to me in desperation, trying to help, trying to offer me advice and try to, be more involved. And instead I'm getting silence, I'm getting judgment, I'm getting assumptions, I'm getting talked down to. And I'm like, hey guys, I'm just now realizing that this is how y'all have talked to me my whole life, and I deserve better. And so that has forced me to leave that family unit in most cases and go find better fucking people.
Amen. Last question. How would you broach the subject with Christian parents?
How would what? I'm sorry?
How would you bring up the topic with a Christian parent?
My Christian parent or a different, someone else's Christian parent? Who's his parent?
In general.
It totally depends.
My parents.
So generally what I've found when it comes to this kind of news is if you sit them down and go, Mom, Dad, we need to have a talk, then you're setting this massive anxiety line. And when I'm an atheist, yeah, but if in the course of conversation, I don't really believe that, or odds are if you've gotten to this place, you've probably talked to them at some point about, well, how do we know that? And they might have given you an answer, but if you were to say, I really don't believe, it would be upsetting, but it wouldn't necessarily carry with it the baggage of atheists. But if you think that they understand what an atheist is, then say, in the course of conversation, well, actually, I'm an atheist. Wait, you are? Well, I've been that way for years. You didn't know? I mean, that's okay. Yeah, no, it's good. What are we doing Tuesday? It's totally different when you anchor that expectation to, no, this is just who I am. I'm still me. I still love you. I still want a relationship with you. I just don't believe. It changes things in a fundamental way that makes it a whole lot easier.
I completely agree. That's a really good way to do it, is to just kind of just slip it in conversations the way that you think differently. When somebody says, oh, well, that, Jesus is this Lord and Savior, right? And just be like, I don't know. Just kind of slowly just let them know what you think in an honest way. But what I did is I ended up, I have a huge family, and I have a huge, group of people in my life that I was religious with. And so when I came out and Thanksgiving was coming up and I knew I was going to see a bunch of these people, and I was like, okay, well, I don't really have time to go around and talk to everybody. And I wanted to honestly get it over with because of the amount of stress that I was under, simply knowing this about myself and knowing that I was going to get reactions and all kinds of stuff. And so I put it on Facebook. I found a meme that said something about, they told me to use my brain, the brain that Jesus gave me, and it's ironic that I became an atheist. And I said something like that on Facebook. And so looking back, that may not have been the best way to do it because of the way that people have just stopped talking to me or reached out to me in a very condescending way, things like that. But at the same time, it did get it out of the way. It did give people a chance to start healing. And now, almost a year later, we're starting to have the opportunity to possibly start moving on. And I don't have to wait 5 years to start doing that. So just kind of weigh whatever it is for you and the pros and cons of each thing and how to do it. And just ask different people, how did you do it? What did you like about it? What did you not like about it? And just judge for yourself. And that's the cool thing. That's the whole point of thinking for yourself, is you get to decide. I'm not going to tell you I'm your priest and you have to do what I said because it's the only way to do it. No. You get to decide. That's the whole point.
Well, thank you so much. This actually helped a lot.
Good.
Yay. Happy it helped. And we're really glad you called. Thank you, Sam.
And let us know how things work out and if you change your mind.
Yeah, please do.
Will do.
Thank you.
Take care.